So we're back for the next episode. Today's guest is a really good friend of mine, basically family from back in the day, Mr. Kalon Page, absolute legend. So it's Michael Venom Page's brother, bigger brother, even though he's slightly younger. But basically, me and Kalon are going to be discussing the martial arts in general, a little bit of structure in the new tournament that we've put together ourselves, and we're going to be bringing some squad trainings in as well for just general people to jump on board. There's open squad trainings as well.
Exactly.
So pretty much Kalon's won absolutely every tournament all the way through from into clubs as a child, going right the way through to WACO tournaments worldwide as well. Absolute pedigree of a fighter, but also has produced amazing students throughout the years as well. Of a very, very high pedigree through the Hands Down branding, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for the time today. So I'm just trying to think where we should start really in terms of...
Yeah, well, first I think maybe start on the event, our event that we're kind of putting together now. It kind of came about where it kind of got to a point where we knew something needed to change. We knew, you could see so much flaws in what's happening based on, what we know or where we came from.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what it was. It was just, we needed something to change. We can't wait for someone to do it, so we'll do it ourselves. And I think I called you and was kind of like, would you be up for doing this? Spoke to you about a few of my concerns and stuff, and it was very much a case of, I was thinking the same stuff.
Yeah, it's always the way it goes. Like, we're always thinking about the same stuff. We never see each other a few months, and then you're like, have you seen that yet?
Yeah. So I think it just organically made sense. And now I guess it's just all guns blazing, trying to get it done.
Trying to push forward. Yeah, so the tournament is called Titans Collide, and the format of the tournament is every category is a round robin, but you get 4 people in a category, and they're all from different schools, so you shouldn't have to fight off against people from your own school as long as we can get the entries coming in. We're going to build it up, so eventually the winner of the category not only gets a decent sized first place trophy, but they get their money back as well once it's up and running properly. And we've trialed it 2 or 3 times already, and it's worked really well, isn't it? The feedback's been pretty good from it, really.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think we've got a good network of people, good network of coaches, and people that are supporting it.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a big difference in a lot of these events. Having the right people support it. Yeah. Because the right people create the right students and the right mindset, and then everyone it becomes a bit more of a positive environment.
Yeah. And what we're trying to cope the balance between enough contact that it's realistic for the sport of points fighting or light contact kickboxing, without causing any actual damage. So we don't want to be bordering towards the CTE problems that are going on with everybody as well. So the safety aspect is really important, but also the fairness of the matchup. So we're trying to match even the adults within a 10 centimeter height bracket and a 5 kilo weight bracket as well, if we can. Obviously it's not always perfect on the day, depending on the entries, but that's the goal, is to try and get it as fair and as adequate as possible. What do you see at the moment the problem? One of the ones we've discussed is the novice categories in the tournaments.
Absolutely. Oh goodness, where do you start with that one? So the novice categories, it's a difficult one because it's down to discretion ultimately, right? It's down to what you class as a novice, and then being able to have everyone kind of be on the same page with that. But going to some of these events and some of these national events, it got to a point where I had to get my fighters up to a certain standard to be able to do a novice section, which for me doesn't make any sense. You should be able to be a novice, therefore not have much skill at all, and gain your experience with other people in the same boat. So that was my first gripe with it. And then there would be rulings like, a year of competitions or under a year of competitions, sorry, you then would be in the novice section. But if someone's extremely active for a year and does 14, 15 competitions and someone else has done 2, that's 2 different standards of fighters, 2 different experience set. So again, doesn't make sense. And then it's back to the belts, the belt system. Again, we're all doing slightly different interpretations of, martial arts and belt and grading systems. So again, that doesn't make sense because someone else's red belt is right at the bottom, and someone else's that's your master belt that comes after black.
Yeah.
That's it's kind of like that doesn't work either. So I think it's, again, it kind of boils down to us checking the standard of the fighter, and us cooperating with the coaches and making sure that they understand what we expect in terms of ability for each section. Because like I said, it doesn't, any other way you try and put a marker on it, it doesn't work. And then it's a case of just kind of monitoring it. If you see someone that's been in a novice section for too long, you need to come out of that now. Someone's clearly winning all the time, you need to go to the next level, because that's what you got to kind of remember. It's the whole point of these novice intermediate sections is the ultimate goal is for them to be fighting in advanced and test their skill. So it makes so much more sense for, as soon as they get to the level where they're close to the top of that they move on. No one wants to be a champion of novice. That's it's a stepping stone.
Would you say so? One of the things we discussed is, in order for the categories to work correctly, matchups wise, for a novice category, we then thought about doing the squad training sessions. So from the squad training sessions, it's an open tournament, so other people can enter, but we're providing a squad training session for people, so all of the instructors can bring their students down, turn up, they'll get to spar people that are a similar size through the squad trainings in whichever discipline they like, the points fighting or the continuous fighting, and the matchups would come from the squad training. We could say, okay, that child is going to be in the novice category, this one is an intermediate, and then obviously because the belt systems are slightly different from different clubs, it's the level of ability and the level of experience is the important thing to match, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. That's how we did it.
Yeah,
that's how we kind of came up. It was everyone in a room and the experience coming through with each other. And I think like I say, I think we missed that quite a lot. Just that, and I think even if you speak to a lot of the coaches now, because a lot of the coaches would have been in there with us.
100%.
They'll tell you the same, and they want that. There's things that wasn't great about when we was coming through that's improved, and there's things that was really good that we kind of want to bring back. And I think that's one of the things we want to bring back. We want to have that kind of squad training, that community, that mindset throughout all the different clubs, and then everyone kind of enriches, learns off each other. Some clubs kick a little bit more, some clubs like bits a bit more. So then again, it mixes it up and it just creates great fighters. And that's, at the end of the day, what we all want. And
then, so with obviously every club generally has a syllabus, so they work through a list of moves that set a criteria that they would need to achieve to a particular standard to get awarded their belt. So they go through the belt test, but there is no blanket syllabus. So something I was thinking about is, not only an association as such needs to provide not only the syllabus, but they should also provide class structures, and out of those class structures there should be developmental programs, so flexibility program, fitness program. Like, you get people that come in nowadays, especially with the kids, when we were training, most of the kids would be able to at least do 10 push-ups, a few sit-ups, some squats, and do one pull-up. And then nowadays I've got kids coming into my class that they're 8 years old, they've never done any exercise, they've got really strong thumbs from the Xbox, but other than that, their stomach is not even strong enough to lift their own head up off the floor when they're doing sit-ups. So this is something I'm working on as well, is this developmental program that is, it's nothing to do with martial arts, because they use these type of programs in Olympic weightlifting, gymnastics and ballet, and it produces strong arms, strong legs and strong cores, basically. So that's something I think most of the other instructors could benefit from these as well.
Definitely.
This way around.
Definitely a good foundation to then build on.
To build it through. Yeah. So in terms of dates for the competitions, we have the squad training is October the 19th.
October 19th, squad training,
at Rainbow Leisure Centre.
Rainbow Leisure Centre, 10 till 1. But just come down on the day. Like I said, it's for everyone, so we want everyone there. We want, even if you haven't been to the competitions or anything like that, come on down, definitely. £15, pay the cash on the door. No nonsense.
Come in, So on the squad training, we'll do a real good warm up, real good stretch out. So we've got 3 hour slot, haven't we?
3 hour slot.
And then really good warm up, really good stretch out. Once everybody's ready, we're going to split them into 2 sections. You're going to be running the points fighting, I believe, and then I'll do the light contact for this one, and we might switch for the next one as well. So you'll get a bit of both sort of, even though it's a very similar style, isn't it? But we have different aspects that we've got our strengths in as well on these things. So that squad training session, I'm really excited about it because we haven't nothing like this.
For a long time.
But yeah, so if anybody's out there that's watching and they want to attend that, make sure that you just give us a shout and come down. We can send you the information. I'll put the information on the screen and underneath in the comments section and stuff as well. So that's the squad training. And then on November the 16th, down in Sevenoaks, we have the 3rd Titans Collide event. So that's going to be a really good tournament. We've got a lot of people interested in this one. So the group, because the dates are a little bit better for these ones.
Better, I think.
So it's a good way to wind down before Christmas and get the tournament in as well. So that's an open tournament again. And if you want to attend that, just give us a shout and we can get you booked in for those things. Definitely. That is what we're doing. That's like a bit of an update of what we've been working on, isn't it? But now if we're going to get right down into the nitty gritty of what's going on. Stuff. So we've been discussing this for quite a while, and I've spoken to other people like Jardy Tencher, Michael Page about it as well. There's a big disparity between the morals, ethics and standards in martial arts associations and what's being delivered in terms of customer service when you go to the tournaments and things. When we spoke to Jardy Tencher, he said, if you provide really good customer service at your club and then you go to a tournament that the same level of customer service isn't provided, people come out disgruntled. And it's to do, the refereeing, it's to do with the category selection. Like, we've come home from tournaments with 6-foot trophies before, and then you go to a tournament now and you can have 5 or 6 fights and you walk home with a tiny little medal. That it's not. It's like, that's fine for novices and building people up, but when you're fighting at the black belt level and you're doing things, it should be a little bit more prestigious, shouldn't it, for the effort they put in. But what's your take on the current state of it all?
You know, I got very frustrated by it all, to be honest with you. So I haven't brought my guys really onto the circuit for a number of years now, because it's years of arguing with referees and trying to get this sorted, that sorted. There's a new rule in that I don't agree with. There's this, there's that, and whatever. And it become less and less about the fighting. And it got to a point where you kind of had to manage all these other things outside the fighting, that it's just a distraction. And it's a distraction for the coaches, but it's also a distraction for the student, because the students are now worrying, I've got this referee doesn't like to score this one, and I've got this and that, and they're focused on everything apart from the fight. And that's not the experience. Collectively, I mean, you always had referees that weren't great and some that were better, but collectively that wasn't the experience I had. And I was getting parents getting disgruntled, students getting disgruntled, and the same thing you said that Jardy said, whereas if the customer service isn't correct and you go to this competition and it's the same, it's outside of my control. However, I'm then having to deal with the parents and the disgruntled students and the rest of it, the morale afterwards, and it just got to a point where it just wasn't worth just wasn't worth the effort, the time in doing it. But yeah, I've got a long list of things that, I saw problem with, and I'm ready to kind of change or make better, or at least make an effort in that direction. One of the things were the elbow pads, and everyone will laugh as soon as they hear about elbow pad, right? Because I said it from the beginning. I was like, elbow pads, what's that about? But for me, it just wasn't thought through enough, right? So it's a martial art at the end of the day. You've got elbow pads that I believe, especially for kids, it restricts your arm movement. So for you to do, which is probably one of the most commonly used techniques in a back fist in points fighting, you have a restricted elbow. And a lot of the time it's a massive foam thing at the end of it as well. So now you've got kids punching with straight arms. So the technique's incorrect. They're pulling at the shoulder joint for a start. And this is a constant movement. So now this is what you see. It skews the technique. It skews the complete technique and now changes the martial art. So now you'll have an organization and you'll say, just for all intents and purposes, let's call the organization KO. And you'll have all KO fighters fight like this.
Yeah.
Because they've never been able to bend their arm properly.
Yeah.
But I understand why the ruling's there to protect the head, to get any kind of cuts or anything like that. But again, this for me is very much a case of trying to sugarcoat the shortcomings of fighters versus keeping them safe, right? Yeah. So what I mean by that is, if you lead a strike with your face and you catch someone's elbow, then you did something wrong. Yeah. Like, it's as simple as that. There's no elbow strikes that happen. Yes, you get caught, but that's in every combat sport. Yeah. In boxing, in MMA, you get cuts. And to be honest, I've been in it a long time. I've never had a deep cut from an elbow.
Not once. Yeah.
And you have MMA and stuff who probably don't have it that often, considering they're allowed to use elbows. Yeah. So this, for me, just didn't make any logical sense. And it's, when I kind of brought it to anyone who would listen, they're kind of, but people get, I'm like, yeah, but you...
When? Yeah, you
when?
Sure.
When? You could probably pick one person.
Yeah.
Or
I think as well, any time that they're going to introduce a new piece of equipment, but then that new piece of equipment has to be approved, and it has to be branded, and it has to, because it's approved and branded, it has to be marked up in price to a certain thing, and then it's blanket uniform. Everybody has to have it. Maybe there's something to do with, we need to make some money off of it.
100%.
And it's not only is it detrimental to the sport, but as an example, these elbow pads, they were spinning round and they were causing all sorts of issues. So the fight had to stop, they had to put it back on. And you stop every fight throughout the whole day for a minute, and you're going to be there till the next day because of the amount of fights that are on in the day. Yeah. And then in order to have the elbow pad tight enough it doesn't spin round, it's going to cut off blood supply. Yeah. And if you can't feel your hands, you don't know how hard you're hitting. So there's so many issues, which, even just with simple logical thought processes, to keep things running smooth. And whilst you were sort of saying that, it made me think of, okay, the people that are being penalised are actually the competitors that are winning are being penalised. So if somebody else rushes on to an elbow or times something wrong, it's the equivalent of saying, well, everybody gets a participation medal. We're going to that's actually, by giving everybody a participation medal, you're penalising the winner. Yeah. So what's the point of trying hard and working hard if everybody gets the thing given to them? And it's a reflection of what's happening out in society at the moment, I think, as well, in general. But yeah, so if we said that the rules need to be looked at massively, which we're doing on our tournament, we're changing up. So there's no elbow pads for us. Yeah. If you do want to wear them, you're allowed, but you don't have to wear them. It's not mandatory, and you can wear whichever ones you like. Yeah. They don't have to be branded. So the tournament we're running is general. So you've got the novice category, the intermediate category, and then the advanced categories. Like we said, it's filtered through the black belts, and then it goes down through the colour belts and into the beginner section. So it should be fairly evident for most instructors who needs to go in what categories as well. But we accept people. You have the challenge cards that the coaches can give out if they think the rules aren't being followed, which I think is a really good introduction. But then out back on the circuit, I've been speaking to a few people like yourself about what's going on, and I want to get back on the competition circuit with a load of my students, but I can't find anywhere that I believe will give us that value for money at the moment. And I don't know if you've come across the same problem or...
Yeah, like I said, it seems to be very disjointed at the moment in terms of the circuit. And everyone, again, let's call it KO, has a very a mindset of everyone has to come to me, everyone has to do what we do, no one else should go anywhere else. And I think what's happened is there's a lot of other organisations who's followed that kind of pattern. Yeah. But the only people that's getting kind of punished or is disadvantaged is the fighters. Yeah. I've got ISCA world titles, WKA, WACO. Yeah, the list goes on. Honestly, there's so many. WPKA. There's just so many of them. But that was one thing that was drilled into me, is this is martial arts, and the idea is to follow it wherever it goes. The idea is to get as much experience and exposed to as many different things as you can, and then you form your own style, you form your own ideas, and then you can then even pass that on to someone who then does it again. And then that's how it kind of, the evolution of the sport happens. It's not, you know, stay in one, just, you know, stick to one organization, become the top of that hill and just try and stay at the top of that hill. Because again, you know, I'm really excited for what they're doing with like Total Combat, you know, Lee and Andy and stuff. I'm really excited for that, because it's like it's somewhere you can go with it directly from the sport, which is great. But you know, I think it's not, on the most part, in terms of, you know, these events or it as a sport, there isn't anywhere to go with it.
Progression wise.
So really, we want you to be complete martial artists, that if you want to use it, you know, we've had people go to boxing, Mike goes MMA, we've had people go to taekwondo to do the Olympics. You know, one day maybe kickboxing might be in there, but at least for now, you can be very versatile, because you've got so much skill set, you've got so much experience across so many different organizations, and you've developed that. If, again, KO fighters can only punch like this, now you've got to learn how to punch, you know.
And that's where it really, the rules are detrimental to the fighter's development, aren't they? And that's, like, you got this thing where I've seen it at the World Championships, where there's 3 seconds left and someone's down 1 point, and they're trying to get the point back to take it into a draw, and the other fighter runs around the mat and then uses one of their areas, and then the other person wins the world title because and that's at an elite level. It's meant to be fight. It should be pushing forwards to get the point, countering such and such. But I think the skill level isn't there. It was a few years back. I reffed the Bristol Open. We got phoned up by Andy last minute. He said some of the refs dropped out. So I'll always help him out. He's a great guy. We shot down to Bristol with a few of my guys to ref for the day, and I reckon we refed maybe 150 fights back to back throughout the day, and I think I scored 3 head kicks for the whole day. And it wasn't like that.
It was, not at all.
Every other point was a head kick or jump kick and things, and now the rule set is taking it towards, how do we win in the most efficient way?
100%.
And it dilutes down the actual martial arts, and then it becomes a sport specific thing, and it's not transferable skills to other aspects. Self-defense, protecting yourself, switching it into MMA or something else as well.
Exactly that. And that's what I want to see change, essentially. You know, when you look at some of the greats, you know, even Andy himself, that's not the way they came up. That's not how they ended up being as good as they were. That's not how Mike has ended up doing what he does. You know, so it's almost like taking a step backwards a little bit, in my opinion, as a martial art as a whole. You know, I remember going to an event when they just changed the rule sets of the scoring. Now the scoring for the outside looking in looks relatively complicated anyway. And then it became a point where they started stopping and discussing what point was scored. So you would have a scenario where one referee saw a head kick, the other referee saw a punch. So one's going 2, one's going 1, and then they would discuss, and then it'll go no score. And I'll be like, oh, because they're 2 different kicks. And I'm like, well, that person's just been hit twice compared to your referee. You know, that's what you said.
You said once in this, once in that. It was both on the same side.
Both on the same side. They've been hit somehow.
Yeah.
And you've come up with nothing. Whereas obviously it was always, okay, you deducted. So if you scored a head and he scored, you know, a punch, then it would go down to 1 point. And then also it went further than that. They started saying, you know, one person would score a back fist to the head, or let's say call it a jab to the head. The other person said, no, it hit the chest. And then they started scoring that as well. And I was like, dude, it's hit.
It's hit somewhere.
It's hit something. 2 referees have said it's hit something, and you still said no. And then again, it was like, now this is the shortcomings of the referees, right? This is you not trusting the words of your referees. You think one referee's blagging it. That's the only kind of conclusion I can come to. You think one referee's kind of blagging it, the other referee might have seen it, and to make sure that they don't get away with blagging it, you've just wiped it completely.
Yeah.
But this is not the fighter's problem. This is something that
you should be sorted out.
You've got to address with the referees.
Yeah,
you should have confidence that if 2 referees said something hit, then something's hit.
Yeah.
End of.
And it brings us back. So there's a story. I'm not going to mention a name on this one. I normally would, but I'm not, because we know the guy. Basically, it was a Simac tournament. I've ducked underneath someone's punch and I jump spinning hook kicked them in the head. That's like 3 points. Jump spinning hook kick back then. And the referee heard it. Dave Ryan was coaching me on the day, and he, you know what Dave's like when someone scores, like, yeah, kind of thing, jumps up. The central referee leant to me and said, "What did you hit him with? I haven't got my glasses on." So I whispered what I hit them with, and then took the points. But that's not the referee's fault. It's the organisations behind it.
Yeah.
They do not have enough money to fund the referees properly. So you end up with a referee who's been there since 9 a.m. and probably got given a ham or cheese roll and a juice box, orange juice box or something, throughout the whole day, and then is expected to stand there for like 50 quid for the day. And our respect goes to those people, because they're there and they're making the sport happen. But something's got to change within this for it to develop in the way that we want it to, I think, as well.
Yeah, I think there's definitely that. But you know, when I look back to when we used to compete and stuff, you know, a lot of those referees didn't get paid a dime.
No.
And they're traveling all 2-3 hours, whatever. And I would say the refereeing back then is probably more consistent. And I think that it goes back down to the ruling. It goes back down to overcomplicating things. It goes back down to, you know, a lot of the referees nowadays, there's an argument that they haven't been involved in the competing themselves. So it's harder for them to know what they're looking for.
100%.
So they might need a little bit more support in that. But I don't think, I mean, a sport like this, I don't think, if you can help, if you can encourage with incentives and money and this and that, 100%, let's do that. But I don't think that's necessarily the problem. I think that's what they highlighted as the problem. But I think the problem is the support. I think the problem is the ruling. And I think the problem then is consistency. And I think if you get the right support and you know, surround that with the correct ruling, and you keep it consistent and keep, you know, I always have the more senior referees constantly talking to the junior referees.
100%.
They're always giving them feedback. They're always saying, be faster with your, you know, decisions, X, Y, and Z. Make sure you're moving in the right place. And I try and make sure that there's a senior coach on each match, a senior referee, on each mat, constantly doing that. As well as we're walking around, we're talking, double checking, and it's something that we know that, you know, that kind of referees are so important, because they kind of make the environment of the competition. Right? You can, if you have, you know, referees that aren't invested, or referees that aren't you know, supported or trained to a good level, or, you know, even just given feedback, held accountable, all of these things, then the environment changes, coaches get frustrated, fighters get frustrated, referees then in turn get frustrated with them, and the whole environment changes. And then again, it goes back to what I was saying, that it's not about the fighting anymore, and that's not what I want.
So with this, the interaction nowadays, people do things for a couple of reasons. One of them being the interaction that they get from it is a financial reward. So the other reason that we like to do things is because of the enjoyment. And I think what you're saying there is, what I've heard is that the vast changes and over dramatization of the rules make it very difficult for the refs even to stay up to speed with it all. Because then they have to do referees meetings and all sorts of extra, like, how hard is it to get everybody to turn up on time in the morning to get to that referee? I'm guilty of that, being a bit late and missing the ref thing, purely because of my own narcissism. I go, well, I know all the rules, I don't need to get like, you give yourself these justifications. And we roll in late and stuff, but that's it. It's about holding ourselves accountable and making sure we're all on the same page with it. But it used to be enjoyable to referee. That was the thing. It was when, I can't remember what the guy's name is. There's a boxing referee, and he clearly loves being the referee. He's like, he's looking in the background with his eyes covered, because he loves seeing the big shots. And that's what it used to be like, and that's what we're trying to bring back. We're trying to make it enjoyable, And I think part of that now falls back onto the student's responsibility. So when the categories are called, the student needs to be ready with their, like how many times do you get it on the student comes on the mat and they haven't got their belt on, they haven't got their t-shirt tucked in properly, they're missing their groin guard and half a foot pad, and then Johnny's dad comes running over going, here's your glove, and kind of it's too late. And then on top of that, you've got this whole kind of culture now where the huge entitlement, not from all the parents, but some parents would get this entitlement where they think that they're going to be able to coach from the edge of a mat, or because of the passion, they feel passion, it's their kid, they want to be protected of that, but it interrupts the entire environment, and it's putting the referees off, because the referees don't want to be there for the day having to argue back and defend themselves for making a decision that they're trying to provide an environment for the kids, and it causes this kind of push and pull. But is that right?
100%. And again, it boils down to the discipline of what we're doing. It's getting further away from the discipline and the martial arts, and that's basically what's coming. Uniform, kit, and the rest of it was something that was important. It was something that if you didn't wear your belt, like that was it. Like it was,
you earned that, put it on.
You better wear that, or you're going to be in a white belt again. Like it was a big deal. And I think that then, you know, when you get to a competition, you then start to take those things a little bit more important, and you make sure your kit's right, and you make sure everything. And I think, like you say, with the parents, I think a lot of the parents are. They're trying a bit too much in areas that they shouldn't. Where, you know, the areas that they should be trying is just supporting them, telling them how great they are, and to listen to their coach. Outside of that, yes, when I actually cast my mind back to any events, it's generally the referees now arguing with the parents a little bit more. So yes, there's definitely that side of things that we kind of need to change. We recognize that anyway. But again, I think it's a cultural thing. I think it will change. I think it's definitely going to change if that's something you are pushing forwards, if that's something that you want. And like I said, I think we've got at the moment, there's a lot of coaches that understand that, that we've kind of surrounded ourselves with, who will support it if that's what's asked for them. Because we don't want it to be about, like you say, the enjoyment factor comes from the enjoyment of martial arts. We don't want it to be about just the medals and trying to get a gold, which it kind of feels like it is. It's very much a case of how by any way means necessary. If I've got to break the rules, if I've got to do this, if I've got to argue with this referee to try and kind of put him off a bit, if I have to do this, I'm going to just get a gold for my son. Versus it was, you know, I had fights where I'd won gold and was really annoyed with myself. You know, I remember even Mike, we had a student, I won't out her like that, but we had a student and she just didn't fight as good as I know she could. And I remember she even won once, and he just didn't talk to her. He was so annoyed. He was like, I can't talk to you. But it was like, it's more about, he was like, and I always tell my students that, I was like, the medal doesn't come to me. It doesn't sit on my back. I don't care about the medal. So I'm not here for the medal. I need you to improve. I want to see what we've been working on in the gym. I want to see it here. And that's what I want to bring back. I want to bring it back about the martial arts and not about everything that kind of gets attached to it. That, you know, you ask me where my trophies and whatever, I couldn't tell you. I've got a handful of trophies and medals, and I've been fighting since I was 5. So they got to a point actually where I started giving the trophies back to the promoter. So I'd fight, win the trophy, and I'll be like, cheers, and he'll be like, sure, it's fine.
I went through a phase in the class when there was one kid who was outstanding for a couple of weeks. So I'd let them pick one and take one.
That's a good way of doing it.
So this development, the tournament should be an environment that's created by us for the development of the martial artist, and there's different ways to it. Like, even if you're winning, I remember your dad used to shout at me, no kicking. So I would be like a few points ahead and I'd be winning, and then he'd be like, right, no kicking, because I could kick anyone in the head. So, and then I would have to go to my hands, and through him doing that constantly to me, I ended up being able to punch. And I actually prefer fighting with my hands to my feet. But then that means if I fall back onto my feet, that's my strong point. So I've tipped the table completely and changed the way I fight. But it means I'm literally twice as good, because I've made my weakness my strong point now.
Yeah.
But like blitzing, even the boxing and stuff. So that's where, not just going into it for, oh, I've got to win. I only feel good if I get this first place trophy. What about all the kids that they're petrified of going? You maybe get 10 or 20 kids come in, it's absolutely fine, but you get one who doesn't want to be there. They're worried about the environment. It's too noisy. Yeah. They're not used to this, but they managed to step on the mats that day. I got a kid from my class. I won't say a name again because it's a child, but they managed to step on the mat. They did 2 fights that day, and they didn't want to do the next 2, but they did the 2. Yeah. And I was more proud of that child than the one who was going to win anyway, but didn't listen to how they should win, like with the change in the coaching and things. And then the other side of it is the pressure, and I'm not trying to bash parents here, because it's a hard job and things, 100%. And it's very difficult, but it's understanding if you don't have a coaching background and you desperately wanted as a child to be a winner of something, and then suddenly you have a child who got potential to win something. You want to live through that child. It's like, if they win, we all win, and the club wins and everything. But that can destroy that child as they get older, because I've seen the pressure put on those children over a few years, and by the time they're 15, 16, 17, they want to quit. They don't want to come back and stuff, because it's too much. It's not even that they don't enjoy it anymore. It's that they've got so used to having to win that it just starts to slowly be a weight on their shoulders, kind of thing.
Yeah, it should. I think the example that you made, not having to kick, I think that was just that's the coaching. Yeah. That's what you want to get back to. It's that kind of, I can see you're good at something. It doesn't matter whether you're winning this, that, and the third. I need you to be better at this other thing. Yeah. Because again, we're looking at the end of the road. We're not just looking at what's happening today. Yeah. So I think that's exactly it. Whereas I think, the modern day, it's very much a case of, you're good at kicking, keep kicking. Just kick.
Wins,
never worry about hands. Yeah. No one's been able to deal with your legs. Yeah. Just keep going. So it's not looking at the complete martial artist, right? Yeah. And that's what's being missed. Yeah. And like you say, we all have different, and our students for sure have different, different levels of their growth. Yeah. And it's all about the individual. And I can speak on it even about my own children. My son is quite emotive generally. So I find it hard to sit behind him because of the way I could listen very carefully and take it on. But when I speak to him, he's analyzing how I'm speaking to him. The tone. He knows the tone. He's trying to work out how I'm feeling versus what I'm saying. Yeah. So that's why a lot of the time, if Mike's there or whatever, I'll be like, just coach him. Yeah. Because I know he's gonna just take it for what it is. Yeah. But it's, again, I understand that. Yeah. My daughter, sensory, she doesn't like loud noises, don't like loads of people and all of that kind of stuff. So when it comes to a competition, the last one, she done it. But before she done it, she burst into tears. Yeah. And she was overwhelmed. She was just super overwhelmed. Yeah. Had to calm her down, breathe her through it. You can do this, whatever. She done it. She did really well, which I knew she would once she got on there. Yeah. And she got the medal and whatever. So then the confidence went from like the floor to like sky high. Yeah. Whether she, did well with the medal or not, or got a medal or not, I wouldn't have cared. Yeah. The fact that she kind of got on there, done it, and realized, actually, I can do this. Yeah. Maybe I'll do it next time. I know that's going to help with other things.
100%.
And because that's what it is. It transfers to that's what martial arts is. So now, she goes to school or whatever, and there's a scenario, I don't know, maybe she has to do a play or whatever, and she thinks, oh, well, I've been in front of loads of people before. Maybe I'll try it. Yeah. And then she tries it and goes, I could probably do this. Yeah. And now she's gone down a route that she might not have. Yeah. So that's what the main thing for me was. It's just, I want it to be about the martial arts. Yeah. I don't want it to be about the rules and the this and the that and what you can and what you can't do. Look at what Mike done. Mike had a punch. What was it? Rattlesnake. Yeah. Punch. I've done it a few times. Yeah. I did it on him actually. It was a good story, that one. Yeah. Tell us about it. But he had that rattlesnake punch. Now, he knew that punch would never be scored. Yeah. So that punch, because he's not looking at it.
It heads to the side.
It heads to the side. The punch goes around here. It can never be scored. He used that punch all the time.
Yeah, just to show that.
I can do this. Look at this. You've not seen this before.
Even with this, so how is it that they won't score this punch behind the head? And like I've landed it. I still do it to people in sparring now, right? but they'll score a jump spinning back kick where the person's not looking.
We're not looking.
And it's like, yes, with a jump spinning back kick you can look, but half of the time people don't, and it's still score. So, and this is where it's the same concept as people from the top making rules without going through the process of climbing the ladder themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the fighting ladder. I've said it time and time again. You've got a lot of people that got themselves into a position running an association, but they don't know what it's like to have been a spectator and a fighter and a coach and a referee and go through this process. And this is the point of it, is there's so many different hats you could put on. You could go to a tournament with the spectator's hat on and you could see some of the problems and get some of the enjoyment, but then you can flick it to see what it's like from a coach, from a corner referee to a table referee, and it can only be done with a community of people that communicate with each other. So we've got to take the feedback and we've got to listen. Like I turn up at a tournament, I said about this before, but I turn up at a tournament and I'd called out some absolute nonsense at another tournament a little while back. So I turned up at the next tournament, completely separate associations, and I got called to the side when I walked in, and the organizer turned around to me and said, "You're not going to cause any trouble today, are you, Ed?" And then another friend of mine who was there from Bristol, he turned around and said, "Ed doesn't cause trouble." And I was like, oh, someone's jumped to my defense, which was really nice. And then the tournament organizer said, "Oh, well, last time at the other thing, I got a phone call afterwards." I was like, so somebody who I had to referee their tournament for them by the end of the day, because their tournament was falling to bits, so I jumped in and helped. They then made a phone call to find out about me. They then sent me a Facebook message behind the scenes saying, "Oh, I found out who you are now." And I'm like, I don't care. Don't treat me differently because of who I am. Because you're going to do that to one of the parents. You're going to do treat everybody the same. Have the right amount of respect for people. And don't be phoning up to other tournament organisers. And then the other tournament organiser,
that's crazy, used
that tactic. It's a manipulation tactic. When I get there, I don't cause any trouble. I wasn't causing trouble. What he's saying is, don't question anything I do because I'm in charge and I don't want trouble. That's what he's saying. So then I spent the day complaining. I did it on purpose. The contact was ridiculous. The safety there was unbelievable. It was meant to be light contact, and there was two girls where their heads were snapping back when they're getting kicked and all sorts of stuff. And this is what it needs to change. But we're providing a solution. We're not coming to whinge. We're providing a usable solution that's going to bring it back to how it should be, I think. So
and I think that's what it was. I think that's what I wanted to do. I was tired of complaining. It's simple as that. You know, there's only so much I can keep going, oh, but this and this and that and whatever. And I was just like, and that's why I just took a step back. I was like, right, I'm not in a position right now where I can do anything, or where, you know, I feel like I can change it right now. So I'm just going to take a step back from it because this is not helping. And then now I feel like I'm in a better position to do that, and especially with your support as well. I'm like, this makes sense. This is something I've been wanting to do. And now I'm confident I can bring my members into that kind of environment, and they're going to leave with a similar kind of feeling, or that they get from training. But
100%. And they come out having a good day. So we're going to sit down and we're going to pin down the dates for next year as well, so we can get them out really early. The idea is to have 3 tournaments a year with squad training sort of just before the tournament, so people can come and get a bit of practice and then do the tournament. And then at the end of the year to have a fight night where people can fight off for the title belts and different bits as well. And I think it's going to be really positive, to be fair.
I think it's going to be really good. And I'm just really excited to try and get that environment back. Trying to get that community. Some of the biggest names you can think of now, we used to be all in a hall training with each other.
All the time.
Even Shannon Ryan, she's gone on to do some amazing things in boxing. Even taekwondo before that. But I remember when she was down here. And I remember seeing her just scrapping, and and her sister as well. But I've watched them kind of come through the ranks and progress. So now I've seen where she's gone and stuff. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Like, I was part of that journey in some sense. and that community really helped her be able to be versatile. I mean, she's gone from being the top level kickboxer to top level taekwondo to a top level boxer. And then look at Mike. Mike's gone bare knuckle. He's gone boxing, MMA. Like,
and that's the thing, that a well-rounded martial artist can transfer to these different things. But
100%.
there's a big difference between training somebody to be a fighter just for the purpose of fighting and being a martial artist. Like, a lot of the way that we got taught, I've transferred that through to business. I've transferred it to relationships. I've retrained with trauma therapy and all sorts of things. And it's that thing of say, what is happening currently within our environment that we need to adapt to and fix, and that's a big thing for staying present and staying current. And you actually end up having a better life because of it, don't you? 100%.
It affects everything, doesn't it? I always say with my black belts, that's an experience, but I was like, you can take that experience once you've gone 4 hours of that intense work. And a lot, with Mike standing in front. What challenge is going to come your way where you're going to be like, no, I don't know if I could do that.
That you can dig deep.
I know I could dig deep. I know what I can do. I know I could, like, it transfers over. And I want to be able to create that on a bigger scale with other coaches, with other clubs, and make it something, a lot better. And eventually, I know I spoke to you about it before, we could do like training camps and, again, some of these events, we used to go to the US Open every year. And, you learn so much just traveling with a team of fighters as well.
See what it's like to be, definitely.
All different backgrounds, all different ideas, all different...
Yeah, there's some of the best memories I've got is just traveling different places and having a lot of fun. Different trips. But I think, so if we sum it up let's do a quick message. So for the parents, we want to say to them, come and be part of the community, allow the coaches to coach and enjoy it and watch the children development, but reassure them, like, it doesn't matter whether they win, lose or draw, as long as they've turned up on a day and they've listened well and practiced properly. That's the important bit. I don't know if you've got anything else to add, message to parent wise.
No, I think, it's very hard for parents because it's combat. So you're watching their child, you can't see the cues that we see, whether they're truly hurt or whether you just have to trust in your coaches. And then now we're telling you, you can now also trust in the environment. You've got the referees you can trust in. We'll have the first aid, on hand, you can take care. So we will take care of them. There's not many things, if anything, we haven't seen. So you can just sit back, wipe their tears if they get a bit nervy afterwards or they didn't get the result that they want. Tell them they've done well, pat them on the back and bring them to class again. So I'll just say, like, you can trust in that environment now.
And then for the referees, we're looking for obviously people to come and help with the refereeing and be part of the team and join on. And we're also looking for other clubs to get involved as well. So if there's any other clubs out there that want to jump on board and be part of Titans Collide events as well, then come and have a chat with us and we'll sort that out. And then obviously for the not the spectators but the fighters, we want them prepared, we want them working hard and stepping up, because the fighters end up making the best referees, and then one day we're going to be passing it off to other people to take over, but we want to leave something worth having to people, don't we? I think so.
Yeah, definitely. I think for the fighters, it's let's make it about the martial arts again. Let's be creative. Let's look, let's try and ideas and try things, and don't just chase the medal. Look for the next challenge. If you've won novice twice, you should be asking your coach, right? If I've won novice once or twice, coach, I think I'm good enough to go to the next one. I might not win, but I think I've completed all that I can get out of this. I want to push on, because we all want to get to the point where we're in advanced and we're challenging and we're winning, we're losing and the rest of it. So I think for the fighters, it's just come and just bring it back to the martial arts, I reckon.
So we've got the 2 dates. We've got the 19th of October at the Rainbow Leisure Centre for the squad training session, 10 till 1. And then we've got the Titans Collide event, which is in Sevenoaks, and that is the 16th of November as well. So they're the 2 things to look forward to. That's cool.
Wicked, man.
Yeah, nice one. Cool, man. Thanks for the chat.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Good stuff.